So, what's under the box? Well, welcome back to Colin's Eclectic channel, where we look at things, especially from the 70s, that bring a bit of nostalgia, but also are really interesting things to appreciate growing up at the time. And today, I'm going to have a look at some novelisations of a very famous science fiction series that were popular, mass market books in the 70s. As if you need any more explanation, I'm sure you can guess what they are. I think these are absolutely beautiful. These are the first 12 books published by the Target imprint that were novelisations of the television serials of Doctor Who. These were published from 73 to 75. There were later books, I'll just touch on that. Just to illustrate, these three, featuring William Hartnell's Doctor, they were published in 73. They were reprints of some 1960s titles based on serials that originally had different titles on TV, or rather every week had a different title. So for the books they chose these titles: Daleks, Zarbi, Crusaders. Then the following books were published from 74, these ones in this order up to here, and then 1975 began with these two books, The Curse of Peladon and The Cybermen. After that the cover style changed, just to illustrate the difference, what's different about those first 12 books. So here's the first book published for Tom Baker's era as Doctor Who. As you can see, a very different logo. I'll just put there, and you can see the difference in style compared to the other books. So these first 12 books, well, a style all of their own, really. Let me illustrate a few obvious features that you might admire. The almost photographic quality of the line drawings of the Doctor's faces. So here we have Hartnell, Pertwee and Troughton, Doctors 1, 3 and 2. If we just look at this picture of Troughton's face, that's a fantastic line drawing. It is almost photographic in quality. These early illustrations done by Chris Achilleos. If we pick one of Pertwee, have a look at that. That's fantastic quality of drawing. And you can see the same too for William Hartnell. So these black and white drawings of the Doctor go together with the black and white masthead, and then in between you have these fantastic colourful examples of costume, monster, characters, scenery, sort of plucked quite well in a lot of different styles, but you can see the effect. It has a lot of impact. They tried other things along the way, so here you've got a little subheading based on the popular BBC television serial, which they did for 2 or 3 editions, and that disappeared pretty quickly. It does rather clutter the cover, and I'm glad they did without it. The books would have a coloured spine and coloured reverse, and I'll look at them in a later one. So this is the first edition I bought with its colour spine and colour back, the famous purple, the Doomsday Weapon. This came out in 74, costing 30p, I believe. There we go, 30p. These all retailed originally at 30 to 35p. To give that some context in terms of what a child could afford in those days, let's take something that Marvel Comic were publishing. So we'll just get a nice white background, and you can see this Marvel comic from 1972, released on the UK market as The Mighty World of Marvel, featuring the Hulk, the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. Very heavily marketed on children's TV at the time. Big launch, 5p you'll notice. Now the following year, as a spin-off, Marvel then launched Spider-Man Weekly, Spider-Man Comics Weekly, and you can see the price still 5p. That was issue 2 of that serials. This is edition 1, the first edition of this series, but you see they held the price quite steady, and price inflation was generally quite low for children's comics at this era. It was only really at the start of the 1980s that the price started to soar. So for example here, so that's 72, 73, and here in 1974 there's a British comic, mainly marketed at boys, called Warlord Comic, which I'll feature in some separate videos, still 5p. And you would get quite a lot in there for that. I mean, huge amount of work went into these comics. I mean, I'm a bit off subject, so I'll deal with these separately, but you can see very, very detailed illustrations, and they had to produce these every single week. It's quite an extraordinary achievement. So they were 5p, and you come into these books and you're on the 30 to 35p range, from 73 to 75. Obviously you get more for your money, so you know these are quite impressive books, and if you couldn't afford 30p as a child, I'm sure you probably did what I did and begged a parent for the money. And then as the series expanded, you became reliant on grandparents buying them for you and that kind of thing. So I'll be doing some more videos on these, but let me just leave you with what I think are absolutely glorious covers, and enjoy.